All right, so we're in the cut room, and in this video, I'm gonna talk about tug straps, connectors for your flank girt. So I've got the saddle we just finished up, and I've got a flank cinch here, and we need that girt hobble that goes right there that'll go in between this and the front girt, as well as tugs on a breast collar. Now we have a video where we show you how to build this 3-piece breast collar here, and it's got all the tug information in there, but we're trying to work in a few more just tack videos and stuff like that, maybe some strap good stuff this year, just for you guys out there that are doing repair or building saddles or building tack or anything like that. So just try to put some good information out there for those kind of measurements. And I'm just going to show you what I use and when I make any kind of tug strap or connector. What I'm going to use for this is almost every time on most of my tug straps or anything like that, I'm going to use just a Herman Oak harness leather. I used to buy the 13-15 extra heavy because that's what we would use for our bridle reins, headstalls, things like that. Over the last few years, maybe 5 years or better, I've started getting the 12-ounce, which is just a little bit lighter weight. I think it makes a little nicer tug strap that still has that strength and that thickness, but it's just a little nicer to deal with. It has a little better feel to it. So that's what we're going to use. Now I'm going to cut basically 2 strips off of here. I need 3 tugs for the breast collar, and so I'm going to cut 2 strips. I should be able, this is long enough, I should be able to get 3 different tugs out of this. I'm going to cut those 3/4 of an inch. You could certainly do them 5/8 if you like a smaller tug. You could certainly do 1 inch if you like a bigger, wider tug strap. And the 1 inch is actually what I would use on a solid pulling collar, like a tripping collar as we call it. I would use 1 inch on those normally. But as far as our rear cinch, for that girt hobble that we put in here, I'm going to cut that 1 inch. You could probably certainly get away with 3/4 of an inch on that, but I've just always done them 1 inch. That's a very important piece of equipment that if it fails, it can cause some real issues. So we want to be sure that that strap is nice and sturdy, got good weight to it and firmness, and also wide so that it doesn't wear out as easily. So I'm going to cut those 1 inch. So I'm going to cut 1 inch and then 2 3/4 of an inch. And so we're just going to use our draw gauge here. I've got this set up for 3/4, and we'll go ahead and cut that. And now we'll get this set for 1 inch. Okay, so what I usually want to do is I want to be sure that I'm using the firmest end of my strap. Usually when you're cutting a strap, you're going to have one end that's more towards the neck, and that's going to be a little bit more spongy and not quite as firm. So I want to try to cut that, and as you get to the bottom of the side, it kind of gets a little bit shorter links where you don't get that sponginess. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this from this end. So for this 1 inch piece, this is going to be for our rear cinch. And so I'm going to square that up, and I'm going to cut that 25 inches long. It's just kind of a measurement that we've kind of came up with over the years that seems to work the best, gives you some adjustment, and it's about the right placement. So 25 inches long cut length on our connector for our flank cinch. So that's for our girth hobbles there. So now for our breast collar tugs, I'm gonna go ahead and square these tips up just a little bit. And these are 3/4 of an inch wide. And what I do is I cut 2 of them 32 inches long. That's going to be the 2 for the side pieces. Here, this piece that goes from the breast collar to the saddle. And then the third one I'm going to cut for this down strap right here that's going to have the snap on it. That's going to be 28 inches. And again, that's just years of fiddling with them being too long, too short. You just kind of keep adjusting, and then we came up and kind of landed on those measurements. And that's what works best for us. So there's my 2 long ones, and we need 1 more short one. We've got a little bit of an issue here because these leftover pieces here are just a little bit spongy. It's getting down to the bottom of that side, so I'm going to go ahead and save these for something else, and I'm going to cut 1 more strip. I'm kind of picky when it comes to tug straps and a lot of my strap goods. I'd rather them be nice and firm than have something that's a little bit soft and spongy. So this down strap we're going to cut 28 inches. And that will work very nice. So we've got our 3 tug straps for our breast collar and our strap for our flank. And so now what we'll do is we'll go over here to the bench, and we're going to skive some of these for where the buckle's going to fold, where it's going to fold over the buckle right quick. So now what I'm going to do here is just skive just a little bit here. This is going to be where the buckle folds over. We want enough of a tail on here to be able to fit 2 rivets and a keeper. So you just want to kind of eyeball that, kind of see how much you need to take off, and we just want to thin that down just enough to where it'll make a nice bend. So you can see there kind of where the thickness is here compared to what I took off. I'm just taking off enough just so it'll lay over nicely. And then we'll mark all of these because they're all going to be constructed the same way. Okay, so we've got them all skived. Now we'll go end punch them. All right, so here we're at the clicker, and we're just gonna go ahead and punch both the ends of these. So now what we want to do is kind of fold this where our buckle's going to go. Again, make sure you've got enough room there to set 2 copper rivets and have a keeper, a little wire loop you'll see in a minute right there. So I just kind of usually eyeball it. And then we'll put our bag slot in there for our buckle tongue. Then we can actually mark all of these if you want. Just use that as a guide. Okay, so now we're ready to edge these. All right, so now we're just going to edge our straps. If you've got an easy edger or something like that, you like to pull your straps through and edge them with that versus doing them with just a hand edger, then do that before you cut all these. So just cut your strips, run them through there, and then you can cut them all out. That works fine too. But we're going to edge these here with a number 4 Ron's edger. Okay, so we got our hardware here. These are our wire loops right here. These are 3/4 inch. We've got a 1 inch. We've got our snap, a 1 inch cart buckle, and then 3 3/4 inch cart buckles. And then we're just using copper rivets. And so what we'll do is we're gonna go ahead and just start mounting our hardware. I'll do the 1 inch one first to get it out of the way. First thing I do is put the buckle on, very simply. Just fold that over, and we're gonna set 1 rivet right behind the buckle. Leave enough room for your burr. I always like to have my burrs on the inside of the tug so they don't chance scratching the horse or anything. Now we've got that on there. Now we'll take our wire loop and we just slide it underneath that tab. So now we can set our second rivet right behind that loop. Purpose of that loop, it's a keeper to keep the tug on the piece of tack, so a breast collar or the rear cinch. So once you run it through the D-ring on the piece of tack, then you can run this tail through there and it will stay attached. Even when you undo the buckle, it'll still stay attached to the piece of tack that it's attached to. So that's what we'll do there. And as far as our holes, all I do on holes for tugs is I put 3 fingers there from the end, and then right above where my fingers stop, we put a hole. That's where the first hole goes. And then I do 1 finger apart. And that will give you about a 1-inch spacing. And I'll do 5 holes. And that's our hole spacing. I'll do every tug exactly how I did this tug here. They'll all be done exactly the same way. Okay, so we got all the tugs made and they got holes punched in them. What I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna go ahead and do this flank cinch. Most of y'all are probably aware of how these go on. I'm just gonna take, remember that keeper is so that when you undo this, if you're changing your front gird or doing anything like that, you don't have to worry about losing your tug because you will lose this. So this will hang on there on that D, center D on our flank. And then you just suck that down there. And then I'll close it because our saddles don't come with a front cinch, so might as well just close it. Makes it look nice when the man picks up his saddle. But he has a very nice, heavy center tug for his front and back girt, so that should last for quite some time without breaking or failing on him. Then as far as our breast collar tugs, remember we have 2 longer ones and 1 short one. First thing I'm going to do is take the shorter one. Take our brass snap, just a simple brass snap. You could use stainless, whatever you want. I would recommend not using nickel because this snap is going to catch nothing but sweat and mud and nastiness, and so it's going to corrode and fail and break. So I would stay with brass preferably or stainless. And I'm just going to hang that snap on the tug, on the shorter tug. Then we'll take the center part of our breast collar and just slip that right on there. And now we have a down strap for the center part of our tug here. And then the other tugs are really simple. Come from the front, put those on, and then buckle those. And that's a finished breast collar with its tug straps and down strap. All right, guys, that's it. That's just kind of a little quick video I just wanted to do on tugs. I know we talked about it in the breast collar video, but maybe not everybody watched that full video or want to have to go find that. Main thing is just the measurements of these. I find that on these 3-piece breast collars, depending on the size of breast collar you're building, 32 inches for the main tugs is about the right length. I do the same length on tripping collars. The only time I change the length is, like I said, here on this down strap. I shortened it up because we always had a lot of excess when guys would come in and get their saddles cleaned. Had too much hanging down there, so we'd cut it off. So we just shortened that up to 28 inches. And then as far as for your rig or your girt connector here, the hobble between the front and back cinch, 25 inches cut length is what I found works best for us. If you've got a much narrower cinch than or a longer saddle, you might need to adjust that length. I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to go to dgsaddlery.com, sign up for the Leathercraft newsletter, and we will see you all in the next video.